Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are reading with the Course Companions, A Course in Miracles, complete and annotated edition, edited by Robert Perry, and the Course Companions is led by Emily Bennington. Today we are on day 208, which is chapter 16, looking at the special relationship, and we are in section 3 today, the joy of teaching. If you would like to close your eyes and join me in prayer. Dear Father, please enable me to set aside everything I think I know about A Course in Miracles, about myself, about you, God, about my brother, and about this world. God, please allow me to have an open mind and a new experience about you, my brother, myself, and this world. Please help me to have the vision you would have me have. Please help me to be a conduit of love and light in this world. Thank you, God. Amen. Section 3, the joy of teaching. You have taught well, and yet you have not learned how to accept the comfort of your teaching. Footnote 14. This section was originally addressed to Helen, who was often extremely helpful to others, and who, this section implies, had been giving inspired counsel to others since the Holy Spirit had come into her life. See chapter 5, section 5, which originally read, "You have learned to be a loving, wise, and very understanding therapist, except for yourself." If you will consider what you have taught and how alien it is to what you thought you knew, you will be compelled to recognize that your teacher came from beyond your thought system, and so could look upon it fairly and perceive it was untrue. And he must have done so from the basis of a very different thought system, and one with nothing in common with yours. For certainly what he has taught and what you taught through him has nothing in common with what you taught before he came. And the results have been to bring peace where there was pain, and suffering has disappeared to be replaced by joy. You have taught freedom, but you have not learned how to be free. We once said, "By their fruits ye shall know them, and they shall know themselves." Footnote 15. Chapter 9, section 5. This is a reference to Matthew 17:16. Ye shall know them by their fruits. For it is certain that you judge yourself according to your teaching. The ego's teaching produces immediate results because its decisions are immediately accepted as your choice. And this acceptance means that you are willing to judge yourself accordingly. Cause and effect are very clear in the ego's thought system because all your learning has been directed toward establishing the relationship between them. And would you not have faith in what you have so diligently taught yourself to believe? But remember how much care you have exerted in choosing its witnesses and in avoiding those who speak for the cause of truth and its effects. Does not the fact that you have not learned what you have taught show you that you do not perceive the sonship as one? And does it not also show you that you do not regard yourself as one? For it is impossible to teach successfully wholly without conviction, and it is equally impossible that conviction be outside you. You could never have taught freedom unless you did believe in it, and it must be that what you taught came from yourself. And it must be that what you taught came from yourself. And yet this self you clearly do not know and do not recognize, even though it functions. What functions must be there, and it is only if you deny what it has done that you could possibly deny its presence. This is a course in how you know yourself. You have taught what you are, but have not let what you are teach you. You have been very careful to avoid the obvious and not to see the real cause and effect relationship that is perfectly apparent. Yet within you everything you taught. is everything you taught. So yet within you is everything you taught. What can it be that has not learned it? It must be this that is really outside yourself, not by your own projection, but in truth. And it is this that you have taken in that is not you. What you accept into your mind does not really change it. Illusions are but beliefs in what is not there. And the seeming conflict between truth and illusion can only be resolved by separating yourself from the illusion and not from truth. Your teaching has already done this, for the Holy Spirit is part of you. Created by God, he left neither God nor his creation. He is both God and you, as you are God and him together. For God's answer to the separation added more to you than you tried to take away. He protected both your creations and you together, keeping one with you that you would exclude. Keeping one with you what you would exclude, and they will take the place of what you took in to replace them. They are quite real and part of the self you do not know, and they communicate to you through the Holy Spirit, and their power and gratitude to you for their creation they offer gladly to your teaching of yourself, who is their home. You who are host to God are also host to them, for nothing real has ever left the mind of its creator, and what is not real was never there. You are not two selves in conflict. What is beyond God? If you who hold him and whom he holds are the universe, all else must be outside, where nothing is. You have taught this, and from far off in the universe, yet not beyond yourself, the witnesses to your teaching have gathered to help you learn. Their gratitude has joined with yours and God's to strengthen your faith in what you taught. For what you taught is true. Alone you stand outside your teaching and apart from it. But with them you must learn that you but taught yourself, and learn from the conviction that you shared with them. This year you will begin to learn and make learning commensurate with teaching. You have chosen this by your own willingness to teach. Though you seem to suffer for it, the joy of teaching will yet be yours, for the joy of teaching is in the learner, who offers it to the teacher in gratitude and shares it with him. As you learn, your gratitude to yourself, who teaches you what he is, will grow and help you honor him, and you will learn his power and strength and purity and love him as his Father does. His kingdom has no limits and no end. Footnote 16. Luke 1:33, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom there shall be no end. In the Bible, it is Jesus whose kingdom will have no end. In the Course, it is Christ, our own true self. And there is nothing in him that is not perfect and eternal. All this is you, and nothing outside of this is you. To your most holy self, all praise is due for what you are, and for what he is who created you as you are. Sooner or later must everyone bridge the gap which he imagines exists between his selves. Each one builds this bridge which carries him across the gap as soon as he is willing to expend some little effort on behalf of bridging it. His little efforts are powerfully supplemented by the strength of heaven and by the united will of all who make heaven what it is, being joined within it. And so, the one who would cross over is literally transported there. Your bridge is builded stronger than you think, and your foot is planted firmly on it. Have no fear that the attraction of those who stand on the other side and wait for you will not draw you safely across. For you will come where you would be and where yourself awaits you. and thank you. Now we will be reading the commentary by Robert Perry. Day 208, Section 3, The Joy of Teaching. To understand today's section, you almost have to have understood yesterday's, for both are addressing the same phenomenon in Helen's life. Since her joining with Bill in June of 1965, a higher presence has been working through her to give miracles. But she has been looking the other way and explaining away. So she hasn't let in the full ramifications of what has happened. Today's section also rests on a cycle that we have seen throughout the course, which goes like this. There is something within you. Out of this presence within, you teach others. Your teaching affects them, and the way it affects them depends on what the source was in you from which your teaching came. They then behave towards you in kind. They become active witnesses to the presence of the source in you. And as a result, they become living proof to you of what is in you. They teach you what you are, or at least what you think you are. We have no choice about this cycle. We are going to use it one way or the other. What we typically do, of course, is use it for the ego. We invite the ego into ourselves, and we teach from it, which can be as simple as demonstrating the ego in our interactions, thereby causing hurt to others. They, in some way, retaliate, which, despite our surface protestations, we immediately accept as proof that we are an ego. This is not some abstract process on paper. This is how we have taught ourselves who we are. Helen, however, had some degree stepped out of this cycle since her joining with Bill in 1965. Her true self had begun functioning through her. The result was that she had given miracles to others, like the story about Joe that I quoted yesterday. The particular impression you get from that section is that she had been giving people inspired counsel, and the results have been to bring peace where there was pain, and suffering has disappeared to be replaced by joy. Given these results, those who had been helped by her miracles were acting as witnesses to the presence of her true self. Their gratitude was saying to her, "Whatever you may think about yourself, there is a source of real blessing inside you that has had a beautiful effect on me." Helen, in other words, had started using the cycle I sketched above for truth, not for the ego. The logical outcome of this is that she would start to learn that she was not the self, the ego she thought she was. But that's not what was happening. She had experienced steps 1 through 4, but not step 5. Why? And step 5 was, as a result, became living proof to you of what is in you. They teach you what you are, at least what you think you are. The reason, as we saw yesterday, is that she was ignoring steps 1 through 4. It was all happening. The true self in her was reaching through her to bless others, and those were in turn acting as living witnesses to that self in her. But she was looking the other way. She was on some level quite happy to listen to the witnesses to the ego in her, but she was avoiding those witnesses who speak for the cause of truth and its effects. If she refused to pay attention to those witnesses, the people she had healed, how could she learn what they were trying to teach her about herself? The Joe incident, for example, was powerful proof that something holy existed within her, but she ignored that incident or explained it away. How is that proof do its work in her? How could her holiness be proven to her? We are not different from Helen in this respect. We, too, ignore the evidence that a different self has at times functioned through us. We do give miracles, and others are measurably helped by them. But then we look the other way, or regard it as some kind of fluke. or let our ego take the credit. This is all understandable, for the miracles we do are in a sense dangerous to our self-concept. They are the concrete proof that we are not the self we thought we were. It behooves us then to ask ourselves, how am I ignoring the outer witnesses to the true self in me? And am I willing to finally listen to those witnesses and start identifying with a different self? Thank you so much for joining with me in this section, day 208, section 3, The Joy of Teaching. I love you. Have a beautiful day.